the very minds of the people we are trying to save. But until we do, these people are still a part of that system, and that makes them our enemy. You have to understand, most of these people are not ready to be unplugged. And many of them are so inert, so hopelessly dependent on the system, that they will fight to protect it.
The time has come. Execute Order 66.
You're live with King MattTheGod.
Hail Hydra.
The God's back.
Let go.
Let's get locked in.
Hail Hydra!
Hail Hydra.
Hail Hydra.
Hail Hydra!
Hail Hydra.
Hail Hydra!
All right, put your arms down, Kaminsky. Look like a West Texas cheerleader at a pep rally.
Hail Hydra.
Hail Hydra.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! Hail Hydra, guys! Hail Hydra!
Hail Hydra. Hail Hydra.
Hail Hydra.
Hail Hydra.
Hail Hydra.
Hail Hydra. Thank you, Doctor. Hail Hydra. Hail Hydra to that.
Climb the ranks, Hail Hydra and all that.
Hail Hydra.
Hail Hydra. Yes, sir. Hail Hydra.
Hail Hydra. We will defeat these terrorists, and we will make our society great again.
Hail Hydra.
Hail Hydra.
Hail Hydra.
Hail Hydra.
I hope fortune turns your way. And of course, Hail Hydra.
Hail Hydra.
Hail Hydra!
Sorry, Cap. I can't give you the sub. I'm gonna have to call the director.
That's okay. Trust me.
Hail Hydra.
Hail Hydra.
All right, we are Bizak. We back with another one. I am King MattTheGod, and you are now live. Mic check, 1 2 1 2. And what am I back with y'all? Hail Hydra. You know, I had to throw my little, like, I'm down with the gang, know what I mean? Cause this is another one. This is another dangerous territory one. One that could get my channel struck down in flames, like. And I'm trying to tiptoe around this shit. All right, what's up, y'all? See, the problem is, why is the Middle East gang so strong? And I want to say they name the state. Yeah. It's like, now you already know what the fuck time it is. Israel, nigga. Them niggas flexing all over the globe. You can't even say their name. I'm scared now. I said their name. I'm scared. I'm scared they're gonna pop in through the fucking door on me and shit. Like, like for real. Like, I've been sitting on this for like a couple days. Like, this topic. Like, what the fuck is going on? Like, why it seem like America is so fucking scared, and the rest of the world, all these worlds, scared of like the state of Israel. And so I'm gonna keep this 100. Let me lean back a little bit. This also ain't no diss to like Israeli people, Palestinian people, Palestinian people. Now, I mean, I already know, most of y'all probably already know my beliefs. Y'all know the new generation of black folk is woke, and they like, oh, we the true Hebrews, and those are converts, and blah, blah, blah. All that really don't matter, like, because it goes deeper than just the common Israel person in Israel. Like, it goes way deeper than that. And it just seemed like a lot of shit I've been hearing over the last week just spurred me to do this video. Like it's like these motherfuckers is like infiltrated every government, especially America, that like America won't even like it's like Israel could punch America dead in their face, and America be like, it's okay. like, it's okay. He didn't mean to do that. Cause all right, let's get into the first video. I'm gonna chill and relax. We're gonna watch the first video. It's like crazy, right? I know a lot of y'all motherfuckers know for sure. Like, and like I said, this is nothing against like anybody that claims to be Israel or they parents or whoever is from that. Like, but it's something a little deeper than just the common man. Like, this shit like really like Hydra, like real shit. Like, you know the theories of like that the Nazis and Nazi Germany and Hitler's squads and all those scientists, that they never was killed, they never really was arrested, and they was arrested. They basically just brought them over to different countries, and then you know the theory online. You know what I mean? We all know, like, they basically just took all their scientists and all their developers and weapon designers and generals and just integrated them into their own system. Like, look, you want to live, motherfucker? You come over here, you work for us. You breaking down them plans and them strategies and different things that y'all was fucking running together. Because for the most part, I'm gonna keep it 100. I was watching a couple Hitler documentaries. Like, the motherfucker was some evil genius, like mastermind, Magneto type, like the way he just galvanized and organized like a crew of like 10 motherfuckers. Like, each diverse was like some banging skills, like an architect. Then we had a fucking a media propaganda dude, like, and they all just work ways to like control the narrative and like build power and structure. So for real, I've been watching some shit, like, and you know they ain't kill off these motherfuckers. These motherfuckers was geniuses, like scientists, next level biologists, engineers, like, and for most part, and it's even interesting, even, I'm waffling, I'm talking, but yeah, remember, we all seen it in the Captain America Jones. It was like, we all know Hydra was basically like the Nazis, like, right? So in the Captain America movie, like all through the later movies and Avengers movies, they always showed that like, oh, Hydra still lived, like Hydra's still alive, like. So we gonna get into it. Y'all already know where I'm about to go in on this, and it's just like, why is America like leaders elite so pussy when it come to Israel? Like, damn, y'all some pussies. Like, that's what I really want to say. I'm about to start saying what I really like. What the fuck, like it's like, and we're gonna understand how it all started and how the state of Israel started and how those people, who knows who they are, they basically had some families pay some money, and we'll go into it. Let's go. Let me stop talking. It's all broken down for you. I basically just find the videos that say what I want to say. So let's pop up some PowerPoint and let y'all rock out.
You're watching the aftermath of an Israeli strike on a United Nations school in central Gaza. Dozens of people were killed as a result of Israeli strikes through fighter jets targeting the building where thousands of displaced Palestinians had been sheltering. Of course, as is the case with every strike that Israel conducts in Gaza, children were among those who died as a result. Just absolutely devastating. And this is happening with such consistency in Gaza that I feel like the more it happens, the less media attention it receives. But it is worth discussing because this is the pain, suffering, and destruction that the United States government, using American tax dollars, is enabling and funding. So, if you're wondering what the death toll is, we don't have an exact figure because some of the bodies have been basically destroyed to the point where it's hard to identify the individuals. But the Gaza Ministry of Health put the death toll from the school attack at 40, including 14 children and 9 women, and said 74 others were injured. The Al-Aqsa martyr.
This shit we already know. You already know it's fucking thugged out over there. They dropping bombs and drone strikes, and where they getting all this tech and these drones and stuff from? America. Just keep it 100. So we already know. We see the countless news coverage of like children hospitals and schools is getting bombed because they say terrorists was there and using them as shields. It seemed like the same old fucking excuse. Terrorists was there using them as shields. Like, so we had to blow up the whole fucking school. Like, what? Wasn't the motherfucking terrorists in there? Y'all damn lie. Yeah, like, let's kill off all these kids. Let's kill off the bloodline real quick, like, so we can move in their land. All right, let me shut up. Keep playing.
Martyrs Hospital said that they had received as many as 40 bodies. However, there are some estimates that the death toll is higher, somewhere between 40 and 45. Now, UNRWA Communications Director Juliet Touma told NBC News that the number of those reported killed in the Israeli offensive in the Nusrat school was between 35 and 45, but added that the organization could not confirm the exact numbers at this stage. Now, when you hear what the IDF has to say, you're gonna wanna rip your hair out of your head if you are a moral person and can't stand being lied to, especially from individuals who are getting funded through our tax dollars to conduct these types of military operations. So the IDF literally alleges that they haven't even heard that any civilians have died from the strike. I'm not kidding. Okay.
And they're not in Rafah. There's no ground offensive in Rafah.
Yeah, that's the other thing that they're trying to gaslight the American people with, that they haven't been conducting military operations or that they haven't invaded Rafah.
Maybe it was Norway. I don't know. But look, apparently some portion of the American people, probably at this point a fairly small portion, but 99% of Washington and 99% of cable hosts will believe anything.
Lieutenant Colonel Peter.
What I find interesting is that the Young Turks is fucking going at Israel's neck. Like I said, let's be clear, not the common man people Israel, like whoever the elites is, the running the government, Netanyahu and them, like they thug life, know what I'm saying? They the gangsters, like. But I find it interesting that Young Turks is going against them. It looked like he's at least Jewish. It looked like he got it in him. But I usually never really agree with the Young Turks, but they definitely gonna be going in. Like, I was listening to this fucking at work, and that shit was making me mad.
Lerner, an IDF spokesperson, said at a news conference Thursday that 20 to 30 Hamas and Islamic Jihad fighters were operating from a compound inside the school in Nusrat. I mean, the statement from the IDF is the same, like regardless of what kind of strike we're talking about or what the death toll looks like. It's always a Hamas compound. It's always the excuse for carrying out an airstrike or an attack where they know that a lot of innocent civilians are gonna die. Laughably, again, Lerner claimed he was the specific individual who claimed that the strike had previously been called off twice to limit civilian casualties.
Oh yeah, he's a real humanitarian.
And if you thought maybe there's truth to that argument, maybe, then you hear him say that he wasn't aware of civilian deaths resulting from Thursday's attack.
Yeah.
How do you take anything he has to say seriously?
The IDF has lied on almost every occasion after these bombs, and because there's a logical, strategic reason behind it, because the American media feels obliged to run anything the Israeli government says. They have to put it in the story. It doesn't matter how outrageous. If Israeli government said, no, it was the Norwegians on a bunch of unicorns that actually did it, plus it didn't happen, every paper in the country would write, the Israeli government says blah, 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 right? Now they don't have to do that when Hamas does it, because Hamas is not trustworthy. I totally agree with that. Hamas is not trustworthy. I don't believe any statements that they put out when their political or military arm does it. But Israel has killed 30 times the number of civilians, has lied with even greater regularity. But nope, they're a beloved ally, so we have to pretend that they might be right. So anyways, look, one of these days, they're actually going to be right, and there is going to be a couple of militants. They've never proved it before, but maybe in this case there were. I have no idea. So and the point of the lie is so that I have to say, well, technically I don't know, so I guess it's possible. And that's mission accomplished when you're doing propaganda.
Look, there have been, I can think of one example where they said they killed 2 Hamas militants, and then they named the Hamas militants, and Hamas confirmed that those militants were killed.
That's right,
okay?
and so that's the exception proves the rule.
Exactly.
Exactly right, Anna. I remember that one too. And we said, oh look, there's the names, right? And so, all right, so we'll see if there was any militants, but it doesn't matter. Why doesn't it matter? So number one, they're using.
It matters because y'all scared. I was surprised this fucking video's still up, like of Young Turks. Like it's like, so y'all can't strike me down. He said it. I ain't said. I'm pro. I'm about to be like, I'm pro Zionist. Don't hurt me. Zionists, please don't hurt me. Like
US made bombs. So that's, we paid for that, and we killed those children today and those women, etc. Number 2, they bombed a UN school, which is now being used as a shelter. And so they literally, do you know how many times they've bombed UN facilities in Gaza? In this conflict alone? 107.
This is once they keep talking about it, I'll be like, yo, it's like this is just start getting me mad. Like they dead there bombing the UN centers and everything. They don't give a fuck. Like yo, they don't give a fuck. Yo, they don't give a fuck. As we go in this video, you'll see they don't give a fuck. They just don't.
No, more than that.
At a minimum, I was going to say. So what's the latest number?
So I actually want to go to a quote from Felipe Lazzarini. He is the Commissioner General of UNRWA, and he says, let's go to graphic 6. Since the war in Gaza began, over 180 UNRWA buildings were hit, and more than 450 displaced people were killed as a result.
Okay, so 180 times they bombed United Nations facilities. And then they went and shredded the United Nations Charter at the UN, if you remember that scene. So they constantly spit in the face of the entire world and go, what are you gonna do about it? America's giving us all the money we need to kill these people. We're above the law. And now there's scum in our Congress.
Yeah, what about it? You see, I got my side locks. Don't be hating. I'm starting to sign, like I'm gonna sign with the motherfuckers. You can't even speak their name, like blow you up, like damn.
Are saying, oh, if the International Criminal Court is condemning you guys accurately, we would rather cut their funding and be despicable to the people trying to do a tiny bit of justice and be catered to the people who are doing the injustice. Guys, we've been over this, but if you watch mainstream media, you might not know this. AIPAC is spending $100 million in this election cycle. So they've scared the crap out of everyone. Pramila Jayapal's sister, Shushila Jayapal, ran in Oregon. They spent them and their allies spent $5.5 million against her. They spent $500,000 against Jamie McLeod Skinner. They spent $4 million in earlier cycles against Andy Levin and Nina Turner. And right now they're in the middle of spending $10 million against Jamal Bowman. And the idea here is no one better ever oppose Israel in America. And if
where is they getting all this money from, right? Do Israel got oil? Do Israel got oil? I thought it was just like, maybe that's why they probably trying to keep pushing and approaching on the land and extend the borders. They trying to ease right into their oil, like give me that, like let's stop it. It's a reason why they keep doing that. But damn, that makes you think like, what the fuck's going on? Like, where you getting all this money from? Just to be paying off the lobbyists all crazy, like. Because you would think, that's what I'm just trying to figure out. Like, it don't seem like, where are they getting the money from? Like, it's like, it's almost like America is giving them the trillions of dollars for them to payback in military force and help and stuff like that, and just to turn a blind eye. Like, it's weird. Like,
if you're a student, we'll have you arrested and make sure you don't get your diploma and rob you of the money that you spent on that diploma. If you're a politician, we will make sure to spend 4 million, 10 million against you, eliminate you from politics. So what message does that send to all of our other corrupt politicians? You better serve Israel first. If you don't, you're gonna be in a world of trouble. So now, I wanna go back to why it doesn't matter if there were Hamas militants, in my opinion. So that, again, in American media, that's an outrageous thing to say. Oh my God, if there was 2 militants, of course you could murder hundreds of citizens if you want. No, you can't. No, that's a despicable.
I don't know how he got the balls to say it. Like, I guess they, well, it's almost like, I'm not saying they're evil. Like, I'm just saying, for example, don't strike me. Come on, don't go after me, man. Like, I'm a small guy. But my point is, what was my point? Hail Hydra. Don't go against the fucking gang. Like, no, it's like, for real, how's he saying this though? Like, and like,
immoral thing to do. So they.
And my point is, I want to go into the comments. You should go into the comments on this video.
Say, well, Hamas hides behind human shields.
Because all through the comments, everybody is saying that same shit. Like, and I'm looking like, damn, are these bots or something? Because it's weird that they all like, well, they was using, that's what they get for terrorists using children as human shields. So that's what happens. Like, what type of heartless shit y'all talking about? Like, are y'all bots? Like, it's weird if you go into these comments sometimes. Like,
we'll finish the sentence. So I murdered the human shields. I don't think that makes you a good person. I think that makes you a terrible person. If you said to me, hey, that's a bad guy and that harmed your family, that killed your family, and he's hiding behind 40 people, 14 kids, 9 women, I would never tell you to murder them. Never, never, never. And if you say, well, as long as they're Palestinians, who cares? Kill them all. You're a disgusting racist and deeply immoral. So that's what's happening here. Anybody else can lie to you about it, but these are numbers, these are facts, and we keep financing the wholesale slaughter of Palestinians in Gaza.
General McKenzie decided against targeting a commercial flight that Iranian general, the top general in Iran, Qasem Soleimani, was on, because it was a commercial flight and there were 50 other innocent civilians on it.
Yeah, look, Washington.
The US, I'm sorry, Jake. I have to say, the US government and our military, not doves, that's not what they're known for. But yeah. I mean, to know that there is a military, a foreign military that our tax dollars support, that's even worse in committing war crimes, even more brazen in committing war crimes, even more dismissive and flippant about human lives, innocent human lives. It's amazing. Yeah. It is something that I feel deep shame about literally every single day that this war in Gaza continues. I'm disgusted by our government. They don't represent us, okay? They are so greedy and so self-obsessed that they will sell out the American people, they'll sell out the American country, all in order to do the bidding of a foreign government that doesn't even respect us.
Yeah.
Doesn't respect human life.
Yeah, they haven't been an ally in any way, shape, or form. No one can name a single thing that Israel's ever done for us other than give it, they're like, they help us with intelligence. They tell us which Muslim enemies of theirs that we should murder. Wow, what a big help in intelligence. Wow. Yeah. Well, here's more Muslims to kill, more Muslims to bomb. Oh, I'm such a helpful ally. Now give me $300 billion. Give me $300 billion, I'm such an ally. And I'm gonna get you in trouble with the whole world. You guys are gonna look ridiculous defending a genocide. I'm gonna order you to do it. Everybody, the whole world is gonna see that you don't run your own country. You're gonna look pathetic. But I will tell you, American military officials interviewed by the Washington Post and other.
Damn. It's like they shut that joint out. That wasn't even the end of the video. Damn, I still live. But shut me down. Shut this nigga down. All right. All right, check this story out.
about 2 weeks ago, we were traveling. We went to go. Pat did a podcast with Tucker Carlson, and somebody at the house. Somebody was like, "Hey, Vinny, did you ever hear about the USS Liberty?" And I heard about it when I was younger, but I never took like a really good dive into it. So, just for the viewers that don't know, what the U.S. Liberty, I called it the day that Israel attacked America on June 8th, 1967, during the Six-Day War. Israeli aircraft and torpedo boats attacked American Navy intelligence ship, the USS Liberty. The attack resulted in the deaths of 34 crew members and injuring over 171 soldiers. Despite claims of Israel that the attack was a case of mistaken identity, which is the case a lot, evidence and testimonies of the survivors later suggested that Israel forces knew the USS Liberty was an American ship. The incident led to a cover-up by both the U.S. and Israeli governments, with multiple investigations and reports failing to fully address the true nature.
And when I first watched this video, all of a sudden the algorithm starts showing me a whole bunch of this same fucking story, like different channels covering it. Like, what is it? Like the USS Liberty, the day Israel attacked America. So, all right, quick breakdown. Basically, supposedly when America and Israel was helping attack Egyptian area, Arab, I don't know what the fuck was going on. So basically, Israel just blew up one of America's ships. Like, the American ship had the flag raised. They all know, like, radar and intelligence and looking at the ship like that's American ship. So basically, it sounds like they basically just blew up American ships because America's ship was spying on Israel, kind of like for intel. It was something strange like that, and it was just basically like, mind your business. Like, during the middle of the war, we allies, and you just blow one of us up. Like, oh, what the fuck? Like damn, like y'all gangster, like. Y'all gangster.
The attack. Did you ever hear about?
This is the first time.
This is perfect. So the USS Liberty was a spy ship. It was in the Mediterranean off the Egyptian coast. It was there to monitor the conflict. And then there was an unprovoked attack. Israeli jets and torpedo boats fired rockets, cannons, armor-piercing bullets. Bro, they even dropped napalm on this ship, and they even shot at life rafts, which is a really big no-no when it comes to war, okay? And by the way, we're Israel's closest allies. The American...
It's basically like life rafts are trying to escape and shit, and they spin the block double back with planes. I don't know what they was hitting them with. Probably planes. They double back and start shooting up the lifeboats. Like, you son of a bitch. Like you motherfuckers. Like, yo, they gangster, bro. Damn.
American flag on the ship, and this is by the way, this is everything I'm saying is by accounts of the actual crew that were on the boat. So let's get that right. American soldiers were all saying this. The flag was high. It was seen for miles. The words USS Liberty are painted on the side of the bow
in English. By the way,
English. And mind you, there's no other boats that look like our boats because we're off the Egyptian coast. It's our boat. Let's not play this game. And I love I like Ben Shapiro's like, it's been 50 years and scholars have been, shut the hell up, bro. Just shut up, okay? Because these are just facts. Here's a recording of which, by the way, only came out on this documentary. It's called The Day Israel Attacked America. It's a documentary on YouTube. I think everybody should go watch it and let me know what you guys think. Here's a recording of the Israeli military in real time during the assault. Can you play the clip?
This audio tape, which has never been broadcast before, was recorded in real time by the Israeli military during the assault. The woman's voice in the background is counting down the seconds. It proves that Israeli commanders knew all along that they were attacking an American ship.
Don't give a fuck. That's how they was. That's why they was thinking and talking.
Boom. Okay, so they know. By the way, this is factual audio from the thing. That's them. They know that it's us. Okay, so now there was tensions between Israel and the Arab neighbors. I mean, obviously, bro, they're surrounded by Arab neighbors. Okay, armies were mobilizing in the 60s. So Israel promised the White House. Okay, this is what they're all saying, that this is Iran, that they would not attack first for the 6-Day War situation. Okay, but They jammed radar sets at the American embassy in Tel Aviv, so we couldn't detect their jets taking off to launch a surprise attack to Egypt. Meanwhile, the USS Liberty is getting closer to the Mediterranean. They're in the Mediterranean, but they're getting closer to the war zone. And by the way, this is all happening during the Cold War. So Lyndon B. Johnson, we're over there because Egypt and Russia have a really good relationship. So we're there to monitor what the hell, they're up to, because they had influence.
Important note there. We're there to monitor.
Yes,
this isn't the 6 Day War and the Cold War going on.
Yes.
We are not involved. We're not deploying troops.
Nope.
We just have a ship there monitoring the situation.
I love that you said that. By the way, this is a spy ship that they know. By the way, again, 100% right. We're not there to attack. There was limited firing cannons on this ship. They're not stupid, bro. Okay, Israel's not stupid. So they were there to intercept. So the night before the attack, Israel was listening to the chatter. They're monitoring, bro. We're allies. They know who the hell who we are, right? And then at 5:15, the USS Liberty reported an Israeli photo recon plane flying over the ship. Israeli records reported that the reconnaissance plane reported that the Liberty as an American spy ship. Okay, it's a spy ship, but you know it's ours. So their planes kept doing flyovers and even waved the Americans they're all waving at these guys, bro. And here's another clip I'm going to show Rob of the Israeli pilots asking about the ship before the attack. Play it.
At 1:53 p.m., the pilots asked their base control about the ship.
What do you say? No comment. But change the subject. So guys, now let's go to the day of the attack. The crew said it was a beautiful day, and like I said, this is all in the documentary. They were outside on the deck sunbathing, okay? And then the attack happened. They tried to request for help, but by the way, I mean, body parts, if you guys see this documentary, it's freaking brutal what they said that they had to deal with. Just armor-piercing shit. They're shooting at the rafts. Like I said, the soldiers on the boat tried to request help, but Israel jammed their distress frequencies and their tactical frequencies, which, by the way, jamming international distress frequencies is a violation of international law. Okay.
Where did they get this fucking technology from if America supposedly has that technology too? So they can do it to us, but we couldn't do it to them? Or what the fuck is going on here? Like it's the way they describing like UFOs flew through and blew their ass up. Like, what the fuck is going on?
If they're trying to communicate with war, different story. But when you're asking for help, what are you
AKA, they wanted them to die.
Yeah.
They wanted no witnesses.
I mean, shooting at life rafts is also, I believe, a violation of international law.
It's 100% it was. But and by the way, and who would know their frequencies except an ally?
Right.
How do you know the frequency?
Especially
you know what
back
I mean?
then.
Yeah. So this next video, and then I want to start. I'm going to just wrap up because I have a lot because I want people to get some context. This next video is the military figuring out who would sink the ship after their airplanes did the damage and was running out of ammo. Go ahead.
Up above, the Israeli military argued about what should happen next and who should sink the Liberty.
Leave something for the Navy to do because they have torpedo ships.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
At 11 minutes past 2, with the Israeli jets running out of ammunition, the pilots were instructed to fly down and confirm the identity of the ship. It was now 12 minutes past 2, and the Israeli control tower knew for certain this was an American ship, the same one its forces had first identified at 5:15 a.m. that morning, and then buzzed again during 7 additional reconnaissance flights throughout the day.
Who's it belong to? America. Oh, guys, so there's no question, okay? You guys are hearing this real-time audio. They knew they attacked, okay, the torpedo. By the way, and I guess one of the biggest explosion, they shot 5 torpedoes, and it hit. One of them hit. I'm sorry, 2 of them hit, and that was a major killing. 25 soldiers died on that hit. So mind you, now this is happening. One soldier grabs like wires because everything is ruined, puts together this little makeshift thing and calls for help. At that moment, the 6th Fleet now is dispatched. It's 500 miles away. Once they're dispatched, the attack stops. Okay, Israel knew that our jets were up in the air, and they were like, whoa, this is a mistake. We messed up. This is a mistake, okay?
Tragic mistake.
Tragic mistake.
It was a mishap.
Oh, yeah, I love
Oops.
mishaps. Yeah, I love
Incident.
mishaps. So then, guys, check this out. The damage has been done, Jeremy. A helicopter flies over and drops a bag on the ship that was weighed down by an orange, and there was like a business card on it, and it said, "Are there any casualties?" And the guy that's in this documentary is literally crying as he's trying to hold it together, and he's like, "I ran up and gave it to the captain. The captain read it, and as the plane is coming over, he flipped this Israeli thing, flipped on the bird." So guys, after the aftermath, the NSA went to the spouses of the dead, and they're like, "Don't speak to the media," because well, this is bad, because this entire situation, you know, it was rough on Lyndon B. Johnson, who to date was the most pro-Israel president in our history, right?
Also warmonger, start Vietnam.
Warmonger, Vietnam.
Yeah.
JFK, his involvement with that, we could get into that later. But so I don't know, this is kind of weird though, Connor. He briefed Newsweek, okay, kind of like secretly off the record, saying that Israel attacked the ship because they thought they were intercepting Egypt as well as Israel's communications. The Israeli embassy found out with other Jewish organizations, and they're like, bro, this is a huge problem. And there's declassified Israeli documents revealing that they threatened Lyndon B. Johnson with blood libel, gross anti-Semitism. Think about that. They're like, hey, if you point out that we attacked for this reason, we're gonna call you, drum roll, anti-Semitic. Oh, wow. And that would end his career.
Which it seems like it might have.
How the hell did they have that
we
power
living in
back
the
then?
moment, man.
Like now it's like Israel's been around for so long. They were like what, 10 years old,
about no
20
re-election.
years old,
Worrying
maybe.
about
Like
the
if
blowing y'all
here's
up
my
in the-
question. My
right
question
in your
is,
face.
if you look at conflicts the U.S. has been in the last like 100 years, let's say.
Yeah.
Gulf of Tonkin pulls us into Vietnam.
Yep.
You look at in World War II, I read this really interesting book. It's called Roosevelt's Secret War, and it's
Yes.
basically about how he was starting intelligence and he was starting to understand, like, you know, what other countries are doing. So it's thought that he knew about Pearl Harbor before it happened, and he let it happen.
Yeah.
So this event happens. What was this supposed to pull us into a war? Is that why they kept it quiet? That would be my question.
I think they were trying to scare us or make us know that they're the top dog.
Yeah. Well, but think about the brash that you have
To say
to be an
that.
ally to somebody, to try to sink a ship because you don't want them to know what you're about to do, and then having the power back in Washington to shut it all up because you know the president is in your back pocket. That's the crazy thing, Jeremy.
Also,
Like,
I know you have a lot more, Vinny, but I just want to say.
Yeah, now we get into what this video is all about. For real. Like, what the fuck is going on? Like, how the fuck do they got America in their pocket like this? Like, what the fuck is going on? And let's go to the next one. Maybe this might explain a little bit more. Look at this guy. We already know who this guy is. This is George Burns off of The Simpsons. Mr. Burns. All right, let's go.
Backroom deals, betrayal, and a war that's lasted almost 100 years. This is what happened when the richest family in the world decided to create their own country. In 1917, the Rothschilds, the trillion-dollar family that invented modern-day banking, used their money, power, and influence to strike a secret deal with the British government. That deal eventually led to the creation of the country of Israel. But what makes this story more bizarre is the crazy personality of the man who orchestrated this deal, Lord Walter.
What's crazy about the creation of Israel, the state of Israel currently today, is like, it's like a motherfucker had the money, right? Just say, I'm just saying anything, to buy New Jersey. Hey, I got the money to buy New Jersey. It's interesting when I say New Jersey. New Jerusalem, New Jersey. All right. I'm gonna buy New Jersey. And I'm gonna move in all these fucking people or that I want to move into this fucking area. Oh, there's original people. They're still there? Oh, fuck that, man. Just sweep them to the side, put them in refugee camps, like concentration camps, gas chambers. Nah, I mean, I don't think they going to that extreme on the original Palestinians there. But as we going further, probably ain't anybody hardly left. They ain't wiped them down there already out.
Rothschild. Walter Rothschild was an enigmatic mega billionaire with so much money that instead of using horses to pull his carriage, he imported zebras from Africa just to show off. This same billionaire also had a super weird hobby of gathering insects and bugs, eventually amassing over 1 million butterflies, moths, and other insects. The Jews are some of the most intelligent, industrious people in the world. However, for years, the millions of Jews scattered around Europe had been trying to secure a large piece of land to start the country of Israel. But no matter how hard they tried, they got nothing. That was until they linked up with the super rich Walter Rothschild, a man who could change the world with the snap of his finger.
Roger.
By the early 1900s, the Rothschilds were already the most powerful family in Europe. They were so wealthy that they had even given loans to the entire country of France to stabilize the economy.
That's
However,
like the trick right
aside
there.
from their power,
Soon as they gave him the loan, like, don't take that loan. Now you in debt to him.
the Rothschilds also had a reputation for being extremely ruthless. They wouldn't hesitate to wield their power as a weapon, to bulldoze through their enemies and crush anyone who opposed them. If the Rothschilds wanted something, they better get it, or they'd be hell to pay. Walter Rothschild made the calls he needed to make, pulled the strings he needed to pull, and in 1917, the British government sent Walter an official letter promising to do everything within their power to provide land for the creation of Israel. That letter redesigned the map of the world, and if you need proof, we have a copy of that letter.
As we all rabbit holers go, we already know that most of the Jews of this day that's in Israel are descendants of Ashkenazi, sons of Japheth. So they don't really have anything to do with Shem or Abraham or Jacob or Israel or Esau, any of them. But who knows? They may converted. They might have even interbred with some original. So we're not gonna go too deep into that. But remember, they're the Ashkenazi. Ashkenazis. As the deepest theory goes now, you take a look at it that they were almost the same people. So they were the same people. I'm trying not like get in trouble, but come on, man. Let's be real. Like, it's the fucking truth. Like, those Nazis were almost, it was like they were killing themselves, exterminating the weak within their own selves. And some of the videos might even that I was watching, that they was like getting rid of the handicap and the disabled and the ones with disabilities and things like that, mental disabilities, mute, deaf, dumb, and things like that. Doing campaigns to exterminate them, trying to get their people on to like, look, we are cleanse of all the weaker ones. So they're like the same people. So the deepest theory is, after the war ended, they just picked a side. It's like you could have chose each side, but after the war ended, and then some of these surviving families may have been Ashkenazis. Just let that sink in. So, of course, they still rich and wealthy. Shit, they the only ones left out of that regime. So seems like they kind of like integrated into Britain, and then Britain basically just bought the land and just set up that state while people was living there. Just kick people out their house in the middle of the night. Yeah, you busting your door, get out of here. Like, and murder you too. Yeah, you dead. like damn. Like I was asleep. But let me stop waffling. But like, y'all get the picture.
2nd, 1917. Dear Lord Rothschild, I have much pleasure in conveying to you, on behalf of His Majesty's government, the following declaration of sympathy with Jewish Zionist aspirations, which has been submitted to and approved by the Cabinet.
So it's possibly the most famous letter in modern Jewish history, and it begins with 3 words: Dear Lord Rothschild.
That letter, nicknamed the Balfour Declaration, is proof that it was the Rothschild family that created Israel. But there's even more evidence. In this interview, the head of the Rothschild family proudly explains how his ancestors created Israel. The interviewer begins by asking the question that was on everyone's mind.
Why was it that this letter was sent by the Foreign Secretary to your great-uncle Walter?
The reason is obvious. Because it was the Rothschilds' money, power, and influence that made the British government fall in line. Years later, Britain kept their promise to the Rothschilds and provided a large piece of land to start Israel. And in May 1948, the State of Israel was officially created. Although this was good news, the Rothschilds were just getting started. What the Rothschilds did next was even more impressive. They invested millions of dollars into Israel, building schools, roads, and everything needed to turn that piece of land into a beautiful country. James Rothschild single-handedly paid for Israel's Congress building, while Dorothy D. Rothschild paid for Israel's Supreme Court building. However, the more money the Rothschilds spent, the more problems they created. Why? Because the land the British gave to Israel actually belonged to another group of people, called the Palestinians. And that land dispute sparked the series of conflicts between Israelis and Palestinians that's gone on.
I don't know why I stopped, but that's what I'm fucking saying. Like, look, that's ridiculous. Like, I ain't just gonna buy a piece of land that someone already lived there. Like, yo, what the fuck? Like, and buy a damn whole continent, whole country, like, and be like, like, get out of here. Like, what?
By the Cabinet.
What the Rothschilds did, the more problems they created. Why? Because the land the British gave to Israel actually belonged to another group of people, called the Palestinians. And that land dispute sparked the series of conflicts between Israelis and Palestinians that's gone on for decades. But we're not here to talk about.
Well, at least now we know why. It's almost like you can look up and do videos on the Rothschilds and they don't give a fuck because they don't go into that under that entity. They go under the entity of Israel is ISIS Ra-El. You ever think about how that was always broken down? But anyway, I'm gonna leave it alone. I don't want to go too deep and start taking you back to the Anunnaki. All right, but check it, Madam LeBlanc. I'm about to go in on y'all. Chill. I ain't gonna go in too deep. All right. But like I said, it's almost like no wonder they untouchable. They that secret elite family that everyone suspects that rules the world. Like And that's them, like, in that little piece of land. Because I was always thinking, like, why Israel? Why that little ass place? I guess you could say they wanted to go back to the land of Israel and the Bible. That's the land, even though it's people living there now. But it make you think, like, are the Rothschilds Jewish? I'm pretty sure they are, but what if they wasn't? They were just like, I'm just use someone else's fucking backstory and just have a reason to move in this. Oh yeah, this is our ancient spiritual land that we supposed to return to. But I'm pretty sure they Jewish though. So it all starts to come together. Like, damn, why they so untouchable? Oh yeah, that's them, cause that family. Like, that's basically their home base and shit, right in your face. Like, America don't want no smoke. All right, so let's go.
About the war, we're talking about power, specifically the power of the Rothschild dynasty. Whatever you've heard about how powerful the Rothschilds are is nothing compared to the true scale of their influence. YouTube has dozens of videos about the Rothschilds, but this one is different. Because instead of merely talking about the Rothschilds, we'll sift through centuries of history to reveal 5 times the Rothschild family used money, violence, and power to reshape reality and mold the world in their own image. Starting with the time when the Rothschilds invented the banking industry that we have today. And the way they did it is more brutal than you can imagine. The Rothschilds didn't get into banking because they wanted to make the world a better place. They did it because they wanted power. And this thirst for power started in 1744 with Mayer Amschel Rothschild. From a young age, Mayer lived by the code that money is power. But even though he needed money to get power, Mayer was born to a middle-income family living in the ghettos of Frankfurt. However, Mayer had a plan to go from rags to riches. As a young man, he began a money-lending business. He started with a small amount and gradually grew his capital. Though this sounds pretty straightforward, the big problem with money lending is that people sometimes don't pay back what they borrow. But Mayer was a hard man, and he did whatever was necessary to get his loans paid with interest. Even from a young age, he developed a reputation as someone you shouldn't mess with. Mayer also maneuvered himself to become the personal banker of members of the German royal family. Over time, Mayer's small money lending and exchange business ballooned into a successful financial institution. But despite all his success, Mayer knew that there was one enemy that could destroy everything he had built. And that enemy was time. As Mayer grew old, he taught his financial skills to his 5 sons. More importantly, he also taught them that success isn't only based on their ability to manage money, but also to manipulate people and situations to their advantage. The game of money is deadly, and Mayer taught his sons to be more brutal than anyone they faced. After teaching them everything he knew, Mayer sent his 5 sons, Amschel, Solomon, Nathan, Karl, and Jacob, to different parts of Europe to dominate the banking sector. He figured if a Rothschild controlled the flow of money in the different parts of Europe, then the Rothschilds would be the most powerful family in Europe. Because money is power, and the one who controls the money has all the power. The Rothschild brothers spread their banking business to different cities like London, Paris, Vienna, and Naples. They applied the shrewd tactics their father taught them, and it worked. Very soon, the Rothschilds had created the world's first international bank. This Rothschild strategy created the blueprint for how banks open international branches today. International banks exist because the Rothschilds did it first. But they had more banking moves in store. The Rothschilds also invented the concept of using government bonds to raise money for the government. As they controlled more and more money, the Rothschilds became more and more powerful than entire governments. Years later, when countries wanted to set up central banks, guess who they called? The Rothschilds. The Rothschilds helped create central banks in many countries, like the Bank of England and the Banque de France. The next time you walk into a bank, say thank you to the Rothschilds. Although, for every good thing the Rothschilds did, they also did equally brutal things, like making money off the death and slaughter of millions of people. This brings us to the second time the Rothschilds changed reality, when they decided the fate of the free world. In the 1800s, Napoleon Bonaparte was on a mission to take over the world. Napoleon was the greatest military strategist on Earth. He could outthink, outwit, and outsmart anyone on the battlefield. The problem with Napoleon was that he wasn't satisfied with merely being a rich soldier in the French army. He wanted to rule the world, and so he launched a campaign to fight and conquer every country in the world till he was ruler of the universe. How crazy is that? At first, people thought Napoleon was overrated, but they started taking him seriously when he kept defeating his enemies on the battlefield. At a certain point, it seemed like Napoleon was going to become the most powerful man in the world, even though at the time the Rothschilds were the most powerful people in Europe. And so, in an attempt to maintain their power, the Rothschilds did something so evil that it could make the devil cry. While the world was fighting against Napoleon, the Rothschilds decided to play both sides. War is expensive. The British needed money to pay soldiers and buy weapons. Any delay in getting the necessary weapons could allow Napoleon's army to rush in and defeat the British. The Rothschilds took advantage of this situation to give quick loans to the British government. If lending to individuals was profitable, imagine how much more profitable lending to a government was. Even though the Rothschild loans came with heavy interest, it was what they did next that showed their diabolical genius. The Rothschilds went behind the backs of the British and offered loans to Napoleon too. By the year 1815, the Rothschilds were supplying Napoleon with gold and silver to buy weapons to attack the British, and at the same time were supplying the British with money for guns and bombs to attack Napoleon. They did this so no matter who won the war, the Rothschilds would be on the winning side. Whoever won would also owe the Rothschilds millions of pounds, meaning the Rothschilds would still be the most powerful banking family in Europe. But their strategy had a fatal flaw. By giving money to both sides, they were indirectly prolonging the war. Each day, hundreds of soldiers were slaughtered on the battlefields because the Rothschilds were funding the war. Eventually, the war ended when Napoleon was defeated at the Battle of Waterloo. The British coalition forces had won, and they owed the Rothschilds a lot of money. At the end of the war, the Rothschilds were even more powerful. Instead of celebrating, the Rothschilds had one more card they wanted to play, and by the time they played that card, their wealth would increase 100-fold in just 24 hours. This is the third time the Rothschilds played the world. Remember when we said Napoleon was defeated at the Battle of Waterloo? While everyone saw it as a final battle for control of the world, the Rothschilds saw it as an opportunity to increase their wealth, and they did it in the most terrible way. To understand what they did, you need to understand how the stock exchange and bonds work, but we'll explain it as simple as possible. The Rothschilds knew that if Napoleon won the battle, everyone in Britain would be disappointed, and that disappointment would affect the price of the pound sterling on the stock exchange, because the pound sterling is the official currency of the British. On the other hand, if the British won, then the pound sterling would become more valuable and increase in price on the stock exchange. And so, Nathan Rothschild paid a spy to wait on the battlefield to see who won the battle. So the spy watched the battle from his hiding place and saw that Napoleon was defeated. What he did next was legendary. The spy sent a pigeon to Nathan, informing him that the British had won. This meant that the pound sterling was going to be more valuable on the stock market. But nobody else knew the British had won because the official British horse messenger hadn't arrived in London yet. Nathan knew something nobody else did, and he used this information in a way only a heartless man would. Instead of celebrating Britain's victory, Nathan ordered his agents to spread fake news that Napoleon had won. When people heard this fake news, it caused panic selling of the British bonds on the stock exchange. The panic selling caused the price of the pound sterling to drop. And then Nathan, the same man who spread the fake news, ordered his agents to buy up all the bonds people were selling at rock-bottom prices. 24 hours later, when the official government messenger arrived with news that the British had won, it was already too late. The British victory made the pound sterling shoot up in value, and because the Rothschilds had bought so much on the stock market, it made the Rothschilds incredibly wealthy overnight. According to reports, the Rothschilds made the equivalent of $6 billion due to that single move. And this set the stage for the next time Rothschilds changed the world by controlling how people think. Here's how they did it. The Rothschilds had amassed more money than they could spend in their lifetime, and the 5 sons taught their children the same lessons their father had taught them. Very soon, the next generation had the opportunity to put those lessons into practice. As the years went by and technology advanced, devices like the radio and television were invented. Information was no longer spread using horseback riders. All you had to do was switch on the radio or TV, and you could see and hear news from all over the world. This was a new era, and the Rothschilds saw it as a threat. They had lived their lives by the principle that money is power, but this new generation of Rothschilds realized that information is a new form of power. If you can control the information people hear, you can control what they do. According
All right, my bad. I'm back. I used the fucking video as a fucking commercial so I could run to the store, get some snacks. All right, but y'all get the fucking point. These motherfuckers are the masterminds. I didn't even fucking go over what the fuck they was talking about. But let's go to the next video, man. Goddamn. What we got next for you? What we got next?
On November 2nd, 1917, Britain's Foreign Secretary Arthur Balfour wrote a letter that would set off a conflict still being fought more than 100 years later.
His Majesty's government view with favour the establishment in Palestine of a national home for the Jewish people and will use their best endeavours to facilitate the achievement of this object.
When Balfour wrote of his government's intent to create a Jewish homeland in Palestine, 90% of the people living there were not Jewish. Just 31 years.
It's like that letter wasn't more like a idea or it's a dream of ours. Like it was more like we're gonna do this and you're not gonna fucking stop us. Like some other shit. Like damn. Like you asking or telling us. Like
years later, most of them were gone.
כמה אתה חושב אנשים הרגת ככה? לא ספרתי. לא יכול לדעת בחיי. היה לי מקלע עם 250 כדורים.
This is the story of the British promise that led to the destruction of Palestine and the creation of the State of Israel. Let's start with the obvious question. Why were the British making promises about other people's countries? Short answer, empire is one hell of a drug. This was World War I, and the British were making lots of promises. In addition to promising a Jewish homeland in Palestine, they promised Arab leaders independence if they rose up against Britain's enemy, the Ottoman Empire. The Arabs did. Hollywood even made a movie about it.
Arabia's for the Arabs now. That's what I've told them anyway. That's what they think. That's why they're fighting.
Oh, surely.
A month after Balfour's letter, British troops took Palestine, ending 400 years of Ottoman rule. The people who lived there were Arabs, mostly Muslims, but there were Christian and Jewish minorities too. There was also a tiny number of European Jews who in the late 1800s had started building small colonies there. At a time when many Jews were suffering horrific persecution in Europe, they felt Palestine could be an escape. The idea of building up a Jewish presence in Palestine became known as Zionism, but it stayed a fringe movement among European Jews. Many of them felt they shouldn't have to leave their countries to avoid persecution. But Zionism as a political movement took a big step forward with an Austrian man called Theodor Herzl. And this guy is a very important name in this story. In 1896, he published Der Judenstaat, or in English, The Jewish State. In it, he said the only way for Jews to avoid Europe's anti-Semitism was not just to leave, but to have their own country. And Herzl didn't just write. The next year, he organized a conference in Basel, Switzerland, the first Zionist Congress. The attendees agreed on a program which sought, among other things, to establish a Jewish homeland in Palestine and promote Jewish settlement in.
But how y'all just having gatherings and conventions like, yeah, y'all about to move in my country? Like what? What the fuck y'all talking about? If I was Palestine, I would immediately just straight went to war. Like, yo, get the fuck out of here.
Palestine. From here on.
But I think Palestine do attack first. Let me look.
Out, the Zionist movement became very active, setting up funds to promote Jewish immigration to Palestine, companies to buy land there, and recruiting representatives to advocate for their cause with different governments. A few days after the conference, Herzl wrote this in his diary.
At Basel, I founded the Jewish state. In 5 years perhaps, and certainly in 50 years, everyone will perceive it.
He was only off by 1 year. Okay, so that is a lot of history, but it's important because the Zionist movement is a critical part of the story going forward. especially after it found a friend in the British government, where a lot of high-ranking officials supported Zionism, sometimes for unexpected reasons. Prime Minister Lloyd George, for example, was a Christian zealot who believed gathering the Jewish people in Palestine would bring Jesus Christ back to earth. Others, like Balfour, believed that getting the Jewish people out of Europe and into their own country would be a good thing. Herzl was pretty visionary when he wrote that the anti-Semitic nations will become our allies. Meanwhile, the Zionists assured Britain that their future country would be a reliable ally. So that's the backstory of how European anti-Semitism, Zionism, and British imperialism all led to the Balfour Declaration, this British promise to build a homeland for Jews in Palestine. Now we're going to look at how Britain did that. World War I had been a conflict between rival empires, and the winners set up the League of Nations to distribute the losing side's territories between them. They called it the Mandate System, putting territories once controlled by the Ottoman and German empires under the, quote, tutelage of advanced nations until they became independent. Britain was given the mandate over Palestine, but the Palestinian people were never asked what they wanted or what independence would look like to them. Listen to what Balfour wrote to one of his colleagues.
For in Palestine we do not propose even to go through the form of consulting the wishes of the present inhabitants of the country.
Instead, it was the Zionists who were consulted about what their vision for Palestine was, and so the mandate ended up incorporating not just the Balfour Declaration, but several clauses requiring Britain to ensure the establishment of a Jewish home in Palestine. British rule was very accommodating to the Zionist project. The Jewish community in Palestine grew with big waves of immigration. They had their own schools and factories and even their own militia, the Haganah, and they were led by the Polish-born David Ben-Gurion, the leader of their representative body, the Jewish Agency. To the Palestinians, it was clear that Britain wasn't delivering them independence. It was delivering their country to other people. In 1936, they went on strike. British forces tried to break the strike with arrests, torture, mass punishment, and executions. Leaders were exiled, weapons confiscated, and houses blown up. Palestinian fighters attacked British and Jewish targets, while British and Haganah forces would carry out joint raids on Palestinian villages. Something had to change. The British government sent a commission called the Peel Commission to figure it out, but their proposed solution was typical. Just draw another British line on the map, divide the country, give this part to the Jews and this part to the Palestinians, and make that part of Transjordan next door. Oh, and because the Palestinians were a majority in the country, 250,000 of them would have to be removed by force to make the Jewish state viable. Remember, these were the proposals that were meant to calm things down. Spoiler, they didn't. Instead, the revolt continued until 1939, by which time about 10% of Palestine's adult male population had either been killed, injured, arrested, or exiled. The British government really needed a solution. So, here comes another report.
The commission is studying the 20-year-old Jewish...
Yo, these niggas is a piece of shit. Like, I'm sorry. I'm trying. Let's just keep it 100. Like, yo, y'all piece of shit. Yo, like, y'all a piece of work, boy. This is nasty work right here. Like, man. Like I said, like, well, I guess, Britain had the backing, was the power. Y'all did it. Like, y'all can't just do that. Like, this is like colonizing on a country scale. I mean, well, it's always been like a whole country scale, but like, it just seems like they just straight just grip a whole land mass and just exile and genocide a whole bunch of people with no fucking blink of an eye, no resistance, like, you just basically just kick in the door and just took my home, and like, what the fuck is going on here? Like,
settlements in British mandated Palestine.
The 1939 White Paper created a conflict between the British and the Zionists for the first time. because it rejected partition and said the solution was for Palestine to gain independence within 10 years, with everyone living there sharing it together. Crucially, it also imposed severe limits on Jewish land purchases and immigration. To the Zionists, this felt like a betrayal. In response, some set off bombs across the country, killing dozens of Palestinians. But
bro, like, we basically saying, all right, you can have some of the land, our land, but you can't have this little area. Like, come on, like, you already like Deboing us, like, you're our enemy. Like, we're just saying, like, all right, and so you get mad because what? We can't take all your land, or we can't take what we want. Oh, like, this shit crazy, right? Like, not poor Israel. Not the motherfuckers that always be saying, like, oh, anti this, anti that. Like, you guys are going to cause violence against us. Like, who doing the violating here? Like, you're the violator.
soon everyone was distracted by something much bigger. More than 60 million people were killed in World War II, including 6 million Jews murdered in Nazi death camps. Jewish survivors fled Europe, with a large number of them trying to find safety in Palestine despite the British limit on Jewish immigration. This set off a more direct confrontation.
See, it's like, and it's right at the exact time that World War II happened, and like the SS and all them, like, it goes deep, yo. It goes deep.
Between the Zionists and the British, with Palestinians often targeted as well. The Zionists knew two things. Militarily, they were stronger than the Palestinians, and Britain was exhausted by World War II, so it wouldn't have the stomach to keep fighting in Palestine. They were right. In 1947, after 30 years of occupation, Britain announced it was quitting Palestine and asked the newly formed United Nations to clean up its mess. Alright, 1947 and 1948 are the most pivotal years in this story, so let's take a look at how things are lining up. During British rule, Jews had gone from 10% to 30% of the population, and owned about 6% of the land. Under Ben-Gurion's leadership, the Jewish Agency was pretty much functioning as a government for the Jewish community. And the Zionist militias had tens of thousands of soldiers, modern weapons, and officers who'd already fought in World War II. On the other side, the Palestinians hadn't been allowed to develop their own administration or military. But as they waited for the UN solution, they were still the majority all over the country. In November 1947, the UN, then only made up of a fraction of the world's countries, voted to partition Palestine. This plan marked off 55% of the country for a Jewish state, but the UN never explained how it could be a Jewish state when half the people in its territory were Palestinian. To nobody's surprise, Palestinians, and in fact all Arabs, rejected the UN's plan. Ben-Gurion and the Zionist leadership accepted, but they saw an opportunity. With the British on the way out, the Zionists knew they would have the strongest.
What's crazy is, even if personally, don't be mad at me, I don't believe the current Palestinians are even the original people of that land, or have a claim to saying, if you want to say religiously chosen people or people of Israel, since Israel was always in the land of Palestine. But it's funny how the Johnny-come-lately motherfuckers that seems like they're from the sons of Japheth, Ashkenazi, they far way up in Russia somewhere. Y'all coming down and like they got more claim to that land than y'all, like, of the original people there. Like, it's just weird. Like, so y'all saying if y'all want to use the guise of this is Zionist, we want to return to our original land. That's not your land. You wasn't like, what the fuck? Like, you don't come from there. Like, if you're predominantly Ashkenazi and Khazarian, Russian, Romania, Ukrainian? Turkish? It's weird. So y'all just can just steal land in the continent under the guise of religion. So if I convert to Islam, I can go over there and take over the Islam countries? Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're saying? Just let me know, like, cause I convert, like, wherever I need to go conquer, I convert before I go. Like, you must convert to Catholicism before you conquer us. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. No homo though, cause I don't know what the type shit they be doing up in there. Like, you already know what that type weird shit they be doing up in there. All right, let's get back into it.
Military in Palestine. Their forces were instructed to seize more territory than they'd been awarded by the UN and to do what was necessary to reduce the number of Palestinians in it. In cities like Haifa, the militia set off car bombs in Palestinian neighborhoods. They attacked villages and forced residents out.
Haganah troops have driven the Arabs out of the beleaguered city.
On November 2nd, the revolt continued until 1939, by which time about 10% of... In November 1947, forces were instructed to seize more territory than they'd been awarded by. That helped speed up these changes took place on April 9th, 1948, when the village of Deir Yassin was attacked. A British government report to the United Nations describes the scene. 250 people were killed in circumstances of great savagery. Women and children were stripped, lined up, photographed, and then slaughtered by automatic firing. The story of what happened at Deir Yassin set off panic all over the country. As news spread, people fled, fearing they would be next. Historians have recorded dozens of similar massacres during this period. Each time, they would result in entire communities fleeing.
תמיד הייתה הוראה של בן גוריון לגרש את האנשים משם. כבשנו את המקום, טרקטורים חרשו.
For real, low-key, Palestinians should be fucking tag team and ollied up with fucking black Americans, Atlanteans, some real shit. Cause like, look like they did to y'all what they did to us, what they did to damn near every fucking country. Like, what the fuck is going on? Like, they just masterminds of like military and strategy and destabilizing a country, and like they just masterminds of it. Like, it's weird.
לא נשאר זכר שכבר. למה? לא רצו שתהיה, לא חזרה ולא זכר של המקום.
By the time Britain ended its mandate on May 15, 1948, 250,000 Palestinians had fled. The night before, David Ben-Gurion announced the founding of the State of Israel, with himself as its first prime minister. He was standing under a giant portrait of Herzl, 51 years after Herzl had predicted this very moment. The Zionist militias came together as the newly formed Israel Defense Forces, but the fighting wasn't over. With the British out of the way, soldiers from several Arab countries entered Palestine. But the Israeli army was better equipped, better organized, and unlike the Arab armies, had a unified command and backing from several European countries. Israeli forces pushed into places that the UN had assigned to the Palestinian state, like the towns of Lidda and Ramle. 50,000 people were forced to flee from there, many on foot, in what became known as the Lidda Death March. After being emptied, the towns were given Hebrew names, Lod and Ramla. Like in many other emptied towns, the buildings and homes were taken over by the new Israeli state and given to Jews. By the time the UN secured an armistice, 3/4 of the Palestinian people had become refugees. In Arabic, they call this the Nakba, literally the catastrophe. The new state of Israel made up 78% of what had been Palestine. The remaining parts were annexed by Jordan or taken over by Egypt. A year later, the UN passed a resolution calling for all Palestinian refugees to be allowed to return home. They never have been. Palestine had been erased. In the decades since, attempts to resolve this conflict have again tried to partition the land. With each successive attempt, the territory offered to Palestinians in their historic homeland.
What the fuck is going on here? Like, it's like you shaking hands with the killers here. Like, like, what is going on here? Like, it's ridiculous. I mean, I think that was Arabs though, but you get the point. Like,
and shrinks even more. Ironically, Israel is still struggling to maintain the population advantage it gained in 1948 when it forced all those people out, because in 1967 it occupied the West Bank and Gaza, bringing all the Palestinians living there under its rule. And so today, the population of Jews and non-Jews in this land is roughly equal. But those living under occupation have no rights, no citizenship, and no prospect of independence. The Nakba-era tactics of settlement, home demolitions, and expulsion are still used against them.
Nakba, Nakba, no! We want Nakba, Nakba, no!
Israel has taken the land but wants nothing to do with the millions under its rule. International, Israeli, and Palestinian human rights groups say this system is a form of apartheid. To see if that's an accurate description of Israel more than 100 years after Balfour's promise, watch this video here.
Video where? We already watched enough. This is outrageous. Like, yo, I'm about to end this live, but goddamn, like, for real? Like, they just don't give a fuck. I told you. I mean, I'm down with them though, cause them niggas wiping out whole towns, whole cities, whole countries. Get out of here. What's making me mad is like Britain passed off. It seemed like they just morphed into a new entity, just infiltrated more in the UN. Basically, now we're going to have the rest of the fucking world, the collective countries and continents, help us now in taking over the complete Israel. Like, we going that's crazy. Like, so then now the UN helps them get in, and then as soon as they get in, they just doing the most, and the UN can't or won't do shit about it. Like, they just like like I'm just like what do they have on y'all? Like, but we already know that family, them childs, they some grown men. I mean, I'm glazing right now. These motherfuckers is not playing around. Like I don't get it. Like they said, like maybe motherfuckers is taking too many loans, can't pay back the loans. It's like whoever got the most money can just get a whole damn country whacked. Like, that's crazy. Get a whole country whacked. Like, all right. It's crazy, man. Let's see what else I got lined up for you.
All of the
and check out his channel. This the one. I see her, the Duke of Tears. Check his shit out.
The child pornography, all of that, all of the decadent shit, all of the Babylonian shit that was happening in the last days of the Weimar Republic. When they came in, they shut all of that down. First thing he did was get rid of all of that, and all of that, right, was run by the so-called Khazarian Jews. Not because I say so, not because I don't like so-called Jewish people, because that's what the historical records say. He shut all of that down. Then the next thing he did was shut down the usury. He stopped them from being able to charge interest. That was a wrap. Remember, the what you call it, the white Nazi party started over there in Montauk. Look it up. The American, look, one of the biggest Nazi rallies took place in the world, took place in Madison Square Garden. You understand? This is facts. It was over here first. They created their own version and then used this version to go over there and get rid of all of the black ones that was there. Then they superimposed them, started to lace all of the water with LSD and all of that shit, and got all of them people fanatically behind so-called white Hitler, who himself was actually what was his? He was also half Jewish. The original black Austrians. got rid of all of them, started flipping all of that up, and then went in and they started to destroy everything, got rid of the bells, started doing all of that, started rounding up the Khazarians and all of that, bringing them to the cloning centers, which was the Auschwitz and Dachau and all of that, where Rockefeller built the roads to get them in there. Rothschild paid for the underwriting. Trucks and them built the ovens. Hugo Boss designed the uniforms.
Yo, he's spitting. And he ain't lying. Dawson within Auschwitz. I was looking on that heavy the last 24 hours, 48 hours, what was going on in them concentration camps. Like, so the deep theory is they had already set up in them concentration camps set up because they wiped out the original indigenous population there first. And you already know what skin tone indigenous is. That copper, that melanin. And then after they did that, they already had it set up and they just started doing it to their own people. And that's when you start getting all the video footage of like they doing it to all the white people. Doing it to themselves. But let's keep going.
Prescott Bush and them held down the banking aspect of them for them. Get the book, The Bush Connection, with Otto Skorzeny and them, who was Hitler's bodyguard, and tells you all about George Scherf, aka George Bush and them, how they all come from the Nazis. Aleister Crowley and all of this. This is all facts, B. Then the black Nazis and them retreated back into the Thule Society, and then they made a deal with the Vrills that they would get rid of the bells and all of that to get rid of the white ones. And then they betrayed them, hooked up with the white ones, gave the white ones the technology. That's why the Germans had the biggest and the best tech. That's why afterwards, all of the Nazis had to come and they had to split them between the new white Russian Republic, Socialist Republic, and the new socialist American United States Corporation Republic, all being centered and ran through Rome, through what they call the rat lines. This is facts. And then they went, reestablished Hollywood, right? They established the Hollywood because that was all part of the Himmler situation. Himmler was the one that was creating all of the movies and the propaganda films and all of that shit.
Yup.
And then one of his greatest students was a dude named Oscar DeMille. And what was the first movie that Oscar DeMille created? Birth of a Nation, right? Cecily DeMille created Birth of a Nation, right? Which then started with the Reconstruction and started creating the whole thing and started creating the new history of us being enslaved and all of this bullshit. To this day, you got these niggas that's born here talking to you about the greatness of Africa and all that, and they never stepped foot on the continent. But you ask them about African kings and all of that, but ask them to name 10 so-called barbarous kings from America. They can't name one.